did I put it? Flux capacitor, no. My Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, no. No. Bag of chips. Oh, hello. Startled me. Hello there. On this episode of Stars and Cars, I'm going to jump back into the brown K5 Blazer. Last episode, we know it runs after 12 years. But now that it's not something I'm going to keep, we need to make it presentable, make it look good for a for sale ad on Marketplace, Craig's List, Doug's List, wherever you list your cars. So we're going to get it back in, it's going to get cleaned up, and it's going for sale. Now, I've already seen all that. I'm just going to warn you guys right now. I'm going to start off in this next clip with a beard and then change clothes every shot probably, because over the past month of filming this, Christmas happened, sick kids happened. I mean, there's a lot of excuses. Also, a deer attacked my car, and he lost. So anyway, we're going to jump into the video, but if you see me talk about something and then I never explain it later, it's because maybe I had to do something off camera to finish something on the Blazer. So we're going to jump into it. The end results are great, as I already know. It looks great. So stick around to the end. I think you're going to like it. All right, so I'm going to go look for that thing I was looking for. Is this? Welcome back. It's been 48 hours since I pulled this thing inside after putting 1.5 gallons of transmission fluid in it. Okay, let's take a look at the wheels and tires that are currently on it. 325 60 R15s. Okay, I don't think that size exists anymore in BFG's mud terrains. And then here's the fifth one, because that first one, there's 4 of those, by the way. I paid $5 for this. It holds some air for a little bit of time. It's a 311050. Now, I have already decided I'm probably not going to keep this Blazer. And this is why. These are not just the Bushwhacker bolt-on, like simulated cutout flares. These are the actual cutout flares. And what I mean by that is I found these instructions here, and then I see the things that tells you to get the 10 snips and other things, and then all those screws here, they're right in the fender. So I defaulted from finding wheels and tires that I really like to what am I going to throw on this thing to sell it? So these are 33 by 1250 BFG KM2 all-terrains. These ones, the tires that are on it, oh, you just saw something there you weren't supposed to. They don't make that tread design anymore. Tires I bought, they also don't make that anymore. There's KM3s now. It's a set of 5. There is a ton. Here, let me flip the camera around, actually. There is a ton of rock rash on these wheels. All 5. And actually, one of the 5, which would be this next one, is an 8 wide wheel instead of 10 like the rest of them. And it's got a brand new tire on it. The rest are not a lot, but more than what's on it in places. And these hold air, which is great. I already took my new favorite toy here to one wheel to clean it up, the 5th one. And then I hit it with some of this acrylic gloss enamel. And that's this one here. I wanted to test this before doing it to 5 and painting them. And all I really did was grind the worst of it off of the edge. Basically what you would cut your finger on anyway. You know, from a distance, you're not really gonna know. You're just gonna see, you know, that. And I'm still thinking or considering the old flip around to the white letter side and then scrub that up. I think that would, new shiny gloss, new. I said new. Shiny gloss black wheels with white letter out BFGs, right? I just think that would really help the curb appeal of it. I mean, but check out that difference from that one on the far right. Before I hit this with the zzz, I want you to know that I am not a professional. No way, shape, or form. And it's probably pretty unsafe to grind near these highly inflated tires. Don't do this. If, you know, it's just me and my stuff. It's not a tutorial, okay? Let's go. Here's what the taillights look like. That was a rat's bed. We know, right? That's obvious. That's where, you know, Ratatouille slept every night. Here's the housings. I have this one. It's just lingering around my garage from something else. It's the right-hand one. Maybe it's in better shape. Maybe. Ooh, it's a little crunchy up there. I don't know. Maybe these two gaskets can make one good gasket. So, rinse them off. See what they look like. Got the taillights cleaned up, and I noticed there were some cracks. There's more than a crack. It's a snapped off tab. And then on this one, there's a piece that goes there. And there's more hairline cracks. That's a piece about to break off. So I'm gonna glue that together. While I do that, I'm gonna clean up these aluminum surrounds and just hit them with some satin black like this. And we'll see how that turns out afterwards. I mean, this one is in much worse condition than this one. But I just think the black might mask it and it might make it just look a little bit better, a little different. All right, on to the next thing. So I'm in here, started scrubbing these parts from the Blazer, and it's not fun. So before you do what I'm about to do, make sure you have your wife, husband, significant other, parents, roommate. I don't know. Make sure you have their blessing. Do not condone this. So don't blame me if you do it, something goes wrong. But let's see what happens. I'm about to head to town to get bulbs for the K5 Blazer. But I just heard my dishwasher go off, so parts washer, whatever. Oh, Hacho wants to play fetch. Much cleaner. Like just way less rat piss on these. No. So, what do you think, Hacho? What do you think, Hacho? Look at that. Look at that. Oh. Oh, I hope my significant other doesn't see this video ever. Welcome back. And it's been a couple days since I've been in the garage. Quite a few days. Basically the entire week since I've been out here to mess with anything. Where I left off is wheels and tires on the Blazer. Check. And I went ahead and had them flipped around, white letter out, and scuffed up and shot the wheels with just some really good acrylic spray paint. And it turned out pretty good in my opinion. But today, it's time to play catch up.
Moments later.
But I'm back, and I've been waiting on parts, which is always, you know, it's Christmas time. I tried to shine up these original taillights. I mounted my buffer over here in the vise upside down and just started working the taillights. And this one, it started getting pretty good. And then I started working on the second one. And where I glued a piece back on, it still had like a little sharp edge. So the buffer grabbed it and just said, "Yow! To the ground you go." And that's what I ended up with. So, do not fret, because Amazon, I mean, there's no way I was gonna make this look as good as that, you know? So, nope. But we have other parts. These are 10mm plug wires, which were cheaper than 8mm. So I mean, every millimeter counts, I guess. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. Oh, Lucky 7. That's what brand they are. Wicks filter for the transmission. We mainly just need the gasket because currently that's what I think made this thing inoperable in 2010 is maybe someone serviced the transmission, maybe the gasket just failed. But when I started dumping fluid in here, once I got the pan above the bottom of the pan where the gasket is, it started pouring out the front. So I don't want to waste a ton of transmission fluid. Just keep dumping it in there. So I'm going to replace the pan gasket today and probably the filter too. We'll see if there's any metal in there. So I got 2 tail lights, plugs, transmission gasket, and the cheapest plug wires. Well, the cheapest colored ones. So I went with the cheapest plugs as well. I started recording a time lapse of me doing this. I just checked it out. It's not very eventful, and I'm showing a lot of skin in the back region, kind of getting the full muffin top for you. I mean, I might save that for my OnlyFans account if you guys want to follow that. But anyway, here's an update. Plug wires out. Some of them are partially chewed. I did see one that's got some teeth marks on it. And then I did a little bit of an evicting. Some guys here served an eviction notice. I think they're sleeping. They're all sleepy right now. So now, before I put the new plug wires in, I'm going to do some color matching. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. See that firewall? Looks like someone sprayed Flex Seal or rubberized undercoating, or maybe that seam sealer around all those places. And see these inner fenders? They're aftermarket. Both of them are, because they still have the shipping tags on them that have rotted away. And someone's already painted the inner fenders black on both sides. So I'm just gonna, you know, I like things to match. So I'm just gonna hit it with some satin black all the way across there. We'll see how that turns out, okay? I don't know if I'll do another time lapse, because it's not a peep show, guys, okay? You got to pay for that stuff, okay? So I might just cut from this to the next thing. I might try a time lapse. Maybe I should cover up. I know I'm looking seductive in this extra medium shirt, but it's an XL, okay? And there it is. Uniform black. It was brown and black, splotched. Now it's all the same. It's better, right? It still looks like crap, but that looks like better crap. Check this out with me. Look at this paint. Huh? Now look at this paint. I've only done from this body line up. But I had to wait on a notary to get here for something completely unrelated. And look at that. If someone wouldn't have did all these things, these are like sanding marks. And then also the debadgery that they did. I mean, it's brown. You could literally polish this dookie brown turd, right? All the way to the other side. All right, so I'm gonna jump back on the plug. I personally feel like this is an improvement. Got my sparkulators all zip tied together. I mean, pretty much something I learned from Roadkill, but I went full all-inclusive rainbow style on it. I have removed the trans pan, and it currently looks like someone gutted a pig on my garage floor. It's just hemorrhaging fluid everywhere. Really hate that no one ever thought, hey, let's make, drain plugs for transmission pans. And out here we go to the pan out of it. Had to hammer out some dents. I don't know how it got so beat up. So I'm gonna rattle can this, make it look a little bit better. I'll try to insert a photo right here, right now, of the clutch material that was in the pan. It was pretty metallic. There wasn't any chunks, but it was consistently metallic. It was just consistently metal flake, okay? Like a custom paint job. So no big pieces came out of the transmission, right? So I'm gonna try and get this thing back in shape, a couple bent places, and hit it with some rattle can paint and go take my daughter to dance class. You didn't hear that, did you? And then I'll come back and put all this back together. But hopefully we can fast forward to this being painted right now. Go. Hi. Have you ever seen that dog and it says, "This is fine"? And he's in a room that's on fire. He's drinking coffee. He's got his hat on, I think. And it says, "This is fine." But it's literally not fine. Everything is the worst. But this is fine. That's me right now. Let's ignore this. That's just a giant chunk of what I believe to be a shop towel from the old filter. I decided my whole workspace was a mess, so I picked up all of my parts, moved them to the other bench, cleaned up, and then guess what? The gasket for the new filter disappeared. So we're reusing the one from the one with all of the, stuff in it. And this right here just looks like dirt. I couldn't find anything really metallic in there. Maybe a couple metallic pieces, but the rest of it's just kind of debris. Let's just call it debris. And what else is going on? Oh, this is what was actually leaking, not the pan gasket, okay? This is to lock out the converter at highway speeds on the Turbo 350C. So TH350C, okay? I don't know about the A's, I don't know about the B's. We got a C. Reminds me of high school, okay? Get all the C's. So, 2 of the 3 prongs are now missing, the clips, because I don't know if you see these fat sausage hands. When I pulled this out, they just were brittle. They went snap, snap. They're just one, that's fine. You only need one, right? 33% of what was holding in the thing that was causing your transmission to leak and not work. That's fine. And I don't have a standard O-ring that fits this, but I measured it with my caliper, and I had a metric O-ring that was good to go. The standard one I had, it was really flexible, so when I stretched it over this, it stretched it too much. And then I had some other standard ones that were HVAC, the green type. I don't know what. Did they just make them green so you know it's for, I don't know. So anyway, oh, they're probably rated for the PAG oil and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm going to stop talking. But we have an O-ring on there. It's metric. We have one of 3 prongs. We have just debris. Call it debris. I think it's a red shop rag. We're reusing the gasket. So let's put all this back together and just pray it works as well as it did. This is fine. Where's my coffee? This is fine. It is a new day in the garage. The transmission is filled with fluid after being serviced, getting the leak fixed. Took a lot of transmission fluid, a couple trips to the gas station down the street to get it finally filled up. But this morning I backed it out and just did a 3-point turn, pulled it right back in. I don't know how many point turns I did. It was facing this way, now it's facing that way, okay? And now we're gonna take care, before I can actually test drive on the street, it has no bulbs. I just got done pulling out all the broken bulbs. I robbed this off the 73, so don't come at me, purist, if you notice that this is the one from a 70s model and the one for this one was different. It's what I have. These Bondo spots here, the one's gone. Someone wanted to go with the clean, shaved look for everything. I have beautiful new TYC shiny taillights, okay? And I bought all new bulbs from O'Reilly's. And because my taillight new lenses didn't come with the actual housing, I had to reuse mine. And it took gaskets from a couple of the extra ones I had laying around to find 2 good ones. And if you notice, that's not the shiny chrome reflective paint that was on here originally. It's like a gloss gray. And that's because I don't keep shiny silver reflective paint around, but I do have this Rust-Oleum medium gloss gray, which I use for friggin' everything. It's what color the transmission pan is now. So don't call DOT on me if that's not reflective enough. So I'm gonna set up a time lapse, and I know for sure I'm gonna clean up this paint back here real quick. I know that has nothing to do with test driving it, but if I'm gonna put this on when I also do the tail lights, I might as well just get this paint as clean as possible, because once that's on here and I try and buff it, this thing will probably catch the edges of my buffer. So there we go. And that's a cute little owl decal right there from my kids. It needs the poop emoji, but to me, it looks like a little stoner with his gold chain and his dilated eyes. So I'm gonna see if I can find the original holes there where this lines up, and get some taillights slapped on it and buff up the paint a little bit, just so fix the rear aesthetic. And I'll probably clean up the rear glass too, get all those. Yep, that's what the headers are. They're friggin' Flowtech headers. It's got Edelbrock intake and carb, and then Cherry Bomb, like Flowmaster knockoffs, I believe. So I'm gonna get all that crap off. Do not want that on there. I might throw some stickers I have on it, just maybe to cover up the Bondo spot there, once I get that sanded. All right, time lapse. And before I start a time lapse, look how that looks like it's been underneath the friggin' ocean. It's because it was on the 73, which you probably cannot see. Way over there by that, my neighbor's International. Time lapse. And there it is. Watching me install taillights would be pretty anticlimactic, I thought. So we got the panel on, the lights done. I turned the lights off in here, hoping that would let you see how shiny and new these lenses are. Pan's leaking. I really don't know. I have to spray everything down with brake clean and then start looking around for a leak. Maybe let it run after I spray it with brake clean and then see what starts dripping. Fun stuff. So no one thinks I'm some purist. Before I go all hacksaw Jim Duggan on this quarter panel, I am no stranger to cutting up the body of vehicles. There's my new angle grinder with a cutoff wheel on it. My saws, trusty saws I've been using for a while now. I've chopped up a lot of Jeeps for the sake of tube fenders and corner guards and stuff like that, okay? It's just like K5 Blazers are kind of becoming classics now and more desirable in the not cut up variety. So it just pains me a little to do this, even though it's already halfway done on the other side. And then arguably this looks as bad as it does. So don't think I'm some purist. I fucking love when people swap things into things that didn't come in, motor swaps, all that stuff. You can put a Chevrolet motor in anything and it won't bother me. You can put a Ford motor in anything except for a Chevrolet or a Jeep, and it won't bother me. But see, other than that, I'm good. So let's start cutting. So I noticed off the jump that the front flares were in two pieces. Someone cut them in half. It wasn't like they broke or anything. Legit cut in half. When I first bought this thing, the first thing I noticed is it's like, oh no, it has Bushwhacker flares. That's the worst thing ever. And also, oh no, one of them's cut into two pieces. So I didn't think anything about it until I chopped this side up to put the flare on. And then I realized oh no. I'm pretty certain this person was sent 4 rear flares, and they just made do. Okay? Or maybe they somehow stumbled upon some really good deal on 4 rear flares, and they just made it work. Made it work. And your boy didn't notice until I did all the hackery to the passenger side that was already done here. So I could buy 2 front flares from probably Bushwhacker. I think they still make these things. Do you want to help me? Yeah. Okay. Can you peel the decal off?
Yes.
Peel the back of it off. We'll just peel one side off.
What?
Okay. Now turn it around and get it lined up. You want the word TG facing up. And make sure we cover up everything. All of the non-pretty parts. Oh, hold on. There we go.
Yeah.
And then let's take, look. You take that, now peel that off, the paper. Yeah. See, look at that.
I think this is not bad. I think this is bad.
I didn't say it would be pretty, but now there's not, yeah, baby girl. And now there's not a big Bondo spot there. It's just a sticker that I don't love. Thank you for your help, Ellery.
You're welcome. Here's a license plate.
That's the old one. I put my new one on there.
Which is your license
So,
plate?
the next thing with this thing is I'm just going to figure out the flare tonight. Because I might have to order it, or I might have to chop up the other rear flare to make it a front flare like the other one. Yeah, we're all going to your dance, baby girl.
So can I just go wherever I want in the dance?
We'll find out. Goodbye. Say bye.
Like and subscribe. Bye.
Yesterday I got the flares cut, and when I did the front right, I realized there's a reason the left front was cut into 2 pieces like this, and that's because this person was probably sent this kit, and they accidentally got 4 rear flares instead of 2 fronts and 2 rears. And another reason I think that, please ignore all my tires, like a tire shop, is this right here. This opening, it's like they tried to cut it larger just to try and put the flare on without having to cut the flare up. Or maybe they couldn't return it for some reason. But look at all these jagged edges on their cuts, man. I'm going to clean all that up, both sides. I've already done the side that, because this was already cut when I bought it, obviously, if you watched the earlier video. But I've already cleaned up this side, see? Just a little less dangerous. You're not going to cut yourself touching all of that. So I'll clean up the other side too. And then I'm also going to put a little bit of paint on here. But first I'm going to just polish this side out. Yeah, I know it's missing paint and it's just a beat up old Blazer, but I'm pretty sure I can get a little more shine out of it. A little more shine. Just a little more. So let's do a time lapse and let's see how much more gloss I can bring to her. And then I'll paint all of the bare metal spots. And hopefully it'll look like this over here. All right. Done. A smarter person would have buffed the paint and then Sawzall the fenders to avoid the sharp edges altogether, but we didn't. Really love the way this fender turned out. Granted, like I said, we know it's not going to win any beauty contests, but if I'm going to end up selling it, just might as well make it look, put its best foot forward before selling it. Shiny paint always helps with that, even if it's, you know, missing some paint in places. The flare will cover that, which I'm going to do next. Probably going to put a little bit of paint over these spots so it doesn't just start rusting from behind the flares. You're welcome, whoever buys this thing. And start drilling the holes for the rear flare. Probably going to have to notch it because it covers up the friggin' gas door for some reason. And cut up the front flare. So all that's next. Which obviously I'm going to try and find some brown that semi-matches this, because there'll still be some of this that you can see behind the flare. And I have a paint color I found at Walmart that I think will be... As things tend to do in my life, things have escalated. I ran to town because I was going to buy some Rust-Oleum chestnut brown to try and match pretty close to this color. Ace was out of that color for some reason. Who's buying chestnut brown paint? And plus, it wasn't metallic. It was just a normal brown. So I called up the local automotive place because this is actually dark chestnut metallic. It's a GM OEM color. And I was able to get in the 1K paint the dark chestnut sampled here. Was close enough. I mean, it would have been $8 at Ace Hardware. I drove a little bit further, and I think I paid $21 and some change for this. So I pulled out some primer, and then I even have some high gloss lacquer clear coat. I want to go that far. Who knows? Honestly, I'm just going to use it on this area here because you'll see a lot of that past the flare. I might try and mist it over that. I might mask this off, sand it, and try and get some on there. I might just leave that. I need to find the emblems, and then that'll solve that problem. The only other place I think it might be useful would be this driver's door, because these are all bare metal sand spots. I don't know. But for now, I'm going to do the right rear lower quarter panel so I can get that flare on there. Heck, I might just hit all of this with that color as well. It has been painted. Right. Is that perfect? No. Can I still tell the difference between the two colors? Absolutely. Did I put primer on it like I should have? No. I just want it to not be giant Bondo spot behind the rear flare. So I'm going to go ahead while this is drying and move over here. Wipe down all the dirt on this side. And then get rid of all of these burrs through here. And go ahead and polish out this side to give it some of that shine from the other side. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I already did from this line up over here, kind of like a test to get. I needed to, if I was going to match the paint, I needed to kind of see what it looked like shiny. So that's been done, but down here hasn't. So I'm going to clean this side up. But this matches well enough. Like for self photo, the ads for Marketplace and whatnot, it'll just look like all a brown vehicle instead of brown with big white body filler spot down here. It's supposed to be the exact color, but who knows if this has been repainted, if that was mixed correctly, faded. And you're also dealing with paint that someone sprayed from a gun versus my homebrew, paint job in my dusty garage. So it can't match perfect. Good enough for me though, good enough. And I even hit I didn't even primer this because the primer, when you primer it, it takes so many coats. So I just sprayed this right over it. And hopefully I'll find an emblem to go back over that so you won't really notice it. I absolutely love the way the fender looks with the patina. I didn't do a perfect job because I can still see some cloudiness around this mirror. This is kind of floppy, and I didn't want it to tear up the buffer or rip the mirror off. And we still have all of that. I don't know, I might take my kids' arts and crafts paintbrush and spray some of that paint into a cap. See if I can arts and crafts touch it up. Who knows? But I also cleaned up all the sharp edges, all the Technishot, you know, like you gotta have your Technishot to be around this thing because it was pretty rough. I'm not a perfectionist by any means, but the way they left it, it's pretty crazy. Looks pretty good to me. I'll continue putting stickers over things I can't fix on it because we need a lot of stickers is what I'm saying. Move over here. This is where I painted. I've been running my little heater there on that lower quarter. Now I need to clean that up and paint that rocker, which is what I'm going to do next. Right now I'm going to clean up the garage a little bit. But first, let me show you this. It involved using my air cutoff thing, which is really loud, and the compressor kept kicking on, so I didn't record that. But what I did is I cut out the amount to make, because it came with 4 rear flares, and the previous owner made one fit the driver's front. So this is this is going to be the passenger front, which was a rear. Are we on the same page? Because I got lost too. And the section I cut out, I split it down the middle and then made it a little shorter so it would drop in here. And taped it together so it wouldn't pull apart while I was putting the epoxy on it. And then I laid that piece down in there and then put the epoxy around it. It's just JB Weld, you know, that 1 minute epoxy stuff. And then I put these clamps on there and let it sit for a while. Then hopefully it'll bolt on the vehicle. I didn't even test it on the vehicle in the 2 pieces to make sure it was the right length. So let's hope it's right, okay? All right. So I'm going to clean up the garage a little bit because I broke some glass. And then I'm going to get to crack-a-lacking on painting that lower rocker, and I'll record that. So with this flare in place, it's going to cut straight across the gas door's corner. So you either have to cut the flare or cut the gas door. You can probably already tell which one I chose. So, move that out of the way. I'm going to chop this up real quick. I have chose the jigsaw because I can't steer any of the cleaner methods of cutting. So let's try this. Laser. There we go. Before I run out of this rattle can of the factory color, I figured I'd paint this weld-in rocker someone installed. Yeah, that was hanging down about 3 inches more. I kicked it a couple times, so now it lines up. See? It's a perfect seamless line, right? That is just... And here's the where it's welded in up top. Yeah. If you don't have anything nice to say, I'm just, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just gonna paint it real quick. Shoot it after, okay? So she's back in the garage. Well, I had to pull her out for a couple days because my garage was just unsightly and I had to make room for activities. Now there's just more room for activities, okay? We still have the same problem where there is transmission fluid puking up the tube. I had a quart of that Lucas transmission stop slip, and I went ahead and just dumped it in there because I had it, and because the previous owner said something was wrong with the transmission. Honestly, he was probably wrong. It's probably just leaking so much fluid it started slipping. But I threw it in there anyway, so maybe when I checked the fill level, all of that really thick honey, like Lucas stuff, hadn't made its way all the way to the bottom of the pan. So when I added more fluid, that wasn't accurate because the Lucas maybe hadn't warmed up, or maybe it hadn't made it to the bottom of the pan. So this color difference is a little more obvious now that it's turned around this way. But I still think once the flare is covering all of this up, that won't be as obvious down there. Maybe an emblem there. And here's the rocker. Now, this didn't line up very well, so I kicked the shit out of it until it did, kind of. Someone did a terrible job there. But I'm just not pulling out a welder for this because I'm planning on selling it, and I just don't want to just waste more time on it than I need to. But that looks pretty good to me compared to it being black with surface rust. I mean, if you squint, it's mint, right? So just do a little squint with me, please. All right, I'm going to start sorting the flares. Flare installed on the right rear. Also, here's the black surround versus this. And it hits the flare ever so slightly at the top right there. It'll clearance itself out, right? Right. All right. 2 more and we're done with this junk. I'm getting ready to hop myself into the cab of the Blazer so I can get some bolts started for the passenger seat. And holding tools, and I just take a big giant step, put all my weight down, and oh, yeah. So all this was already painted black and had been ground, so I thought maybe they were meh welds that, you know, someone grinded smooth to give the door more clearance. But upon further inspection, they're junk. I've already actually ground them down, just trying to get any junk off so I can see if I can weld it. But that's bad. And what makes it worse is there is, and will not focus, there's no welds here. And I crawled underneath, and where this repair panel touches under here, there's like 2 or 3 tack welds across the whole thing. So even if that was bad, if they just would have finished the job here and underneath, it wouldn't be so bad. So now I'm gonna have to weld that up. Yeah. I'm just gonna do a slightly better job than them, so people who test drive it don't fall, or, you know, The Blazer doesn't crumble. Good stuff, man. Just good stuff all around. So now the welder comes out. It's just, yeah, just excited. So much fun. Guys, there's a lot of things I'm not. One of them is not a professional welder. So whenever this snapped off, now, right here, I mean, literally, I stepped here, this snapped off. So I had to do my best. These, keep in mind, this is just me, because it's so thin, I tacked in between their welds. This is my actual weld here. There's some welds by me. Just in a couple random places. Okay, guys? Okay. Not a welder. I just threw some beads in there. I took a lot of welding classes in college, and I'm pretty good with thick stuff. I've done a lot of suspension stuff for off-roading, 4-link, stuff like that. But it's the body work type stuff that I just suck at. But I would step on that, okay? And I put some other tack welds underneath, and these are solid beads. Before, it was just this hackery across here, and then hackery across there, and then nothing here, nothing. And then underneath, every 10 inches, there was a tack, 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 tack. So now there's some solid beads here, here. I cleaned that up a little bit, and then I've added some more welds here. And then I feel like these welds, solid tack, you know, good inch long, half inch, 3 inch, whatever, 3/4 inch, whatever welds there. It's enough. All right, well, that is one can of the new spray and bed liner stuff I bought. Let's let it dry overnight. I don't know. I have probably like 4 different brands of spray and bed liner, so I wish I would have used this one last because it seemed to spray the best. So I would have loved to have put this as a top coat over everything once I was done. But there she is. And tomorrow I will pull that seat out, do that side, and then we'll go over everything. There we are. I hit this with some of it too. My garage is an absolute mess, by the way. Yeah. So I added this toolbox here to my setup, and that was junk that was underneath this stand. Anyway, back to it. This door panel, it's pretty rough. I could probably buy another set of these, used ones or new ones. This one's been rattle canned. I think it originally was gray, or maybe it was a black one faded to gray. And this one's slightly better, but still not good. That's the driver's side, I believe. So I'm just gonna roll with it and clean them up the best I can. Maybe scuff off some of this paint and then just throw them on there. I mean, I'm just gonna sell it, and there's no point in me putting too much effort into these. So I might pop the cloth off and then rattle can them again, then just toss them in there. Like I said, they're so rough, you shouldn't put too much effort into them. Just as long as the vehicle is complete when someone buys it, all the parts are on it and whatnot. So there we go. Some good news and some gooder news. Good news is this panel's painted. There's still a crack, but now it's not a gaping crack. And there's a door panel in the Blazer. Would you just look at it? Is it beautiful? No. But does it look better than what's over there? Yes. So now when you open it, does it look like an incomplete vehicle? Okay, it's still pretty friggin' incomplete. I mean, look at that dash. But that's baby steps. Check out my fancy four-wheel drive shifter. Yeah, buddy. Now that was a column shifter on an old F100 I used to own. And I took that off immediately and replaced it with a socket for a shifter. Yeah. So the gooder news is I figured out why transmission fluid was pumping up the dipstick. I don't know if you can see that puddle there. The vent tube was clogged up on top of the transmission. I adapted this piece of plastic that was a plug for something I bought. I don't know what it was. But put that on there, put it to the fill tube, and blew out a dirt dauber's nest that was in the vent tube. And another thing I noticed was these headers that I hate, they trans cooler lines were touching the headers, which could also heat up the transmission fluid. Usually the reasons fluid would come up the vent tube is something like cooler lines, a cooler not working, or pressure getting into the trans cooler, or vent tube not working. So it could be heat, and it could be vent tube blockage. So I had both of those problems. So hopefully now she should be good to go. Maiden voyage. I made it to the gas station. 3 miles. Pretty proud of that. And then as I'm pulling away from the gas station, the gas pedal stops working. So here's the nut that holds the linkage on. I mean the bolt, but there's no nut anywhere. Oh, there's the cap of an acorn nut, but not like the nut that we need to hold the bolt on. See what I'm saying? So hopefully this gas station is gonna have something to help me. Maybe a zip tie? I don't know. Let's start inside and work our way out. This Blazer was a rat's nest, and all the parts that I've installed for the most part were behind that seat or in that back seat. This seat not bolted down, console not bolted down, door panels in several pieces. In fact, that handle was missing. That's part of a car trailer rear door. Now it runs and starts as it should. Guys, the day is here. This thing is basically sold. Someone's on the way here with their car trailer. But let's just talk about where it started and where we're at. Non-running, sat for 12 years. It had some 15x8 aluminum wheels and maybe 30 and a half inch tall tires that were ridiculously wide, like stock car wide. Now it's got the KM2s, a matching set of 5. These flares that are supposed to be a set of 4, but it was a set of 4 rears that someone modified to fit the front here. I made it fit a little better. Got the markers installed, used some silver hardware instead of the black because they were a little too small anyway. These wheels and tires, picked them up for $420, and then I spent about another $50 having them flipped around to the white letter side because they had severe rock rash on the black wall side. Now you can't even tell. This side's clean as can be. I think it looks great. Adds to the retro look with the Bushwhacker flares. I mean, if this was something I was gonna keep, All I've done is hit it with rubbing compound. I haven't even, polished the paint yet. But to be honest, I wrecked our car last night, hit a deer. So I had to post this thing for sale. And I posted this thing, and pretty quickly someone's on the way to come look at it, and they seem pretty serious. Bringing trailer, bringing cash, they said. And here's the flare. Here's the door we notched for the flare. There's the paint work I did. Is it the best? No. But when I take my photos for Marketplace, the sun's not gonna allow me to do it. You just see a brown blazer. You don't see a brown blazer with white Bondo all over it. I tried to put touch-up of that same paint over where he removed the badges in the front. Honestly, I just threw these stickers on there. It's like a last-minute thing to take the photo for the ad for Marketplace. I mean, but overall, she didn't turn out too bad, in my opinion. And this whole, let me turn this around. Like I said, one of 3 K5 Blazers in a 3 Blazer deal, the best one. But the 73 was still valuable, even though it was the rustiest one I've ever seen, because it had a full convertible top, door panels, just a couple other trim pieces that were worth having. I paid less than $1,000 for the Trio. The 73 by itself, I sold it for $1,750. They essentially told me we're buying a top, a full convertible top that comes with a crunchy Blazer underneath it. Because 73, 74, 75, those are the only years that were full convertible for these. And they're known to be crunchy. And people do sometimes convert the later ones like this to full convertible. That's another reason the top can be valuable for even on a crunchy K5 Blazer. So, like and subscribe. And if you want to, stick around after this to see a walk around of the crunchy 73. If you don't care about that, you can just like, subscribe, leave now. But bye. You going? Okay. Now, let's go to the 73 footage. See you guys. She is gone. Bye, Felicia. 6'4" is struggling.